I've got the great pleasure now to introduce our next guest, Caroline Bergvall, who is not only going to perform, but she's also been a very important advisor to this marathon, so I'd like to thank her for that. Caroline is a French-Norwegian writer and interdisciplinary poet based in London and working across many media, languages and art forms. Her publications include Éclat, 1996, Goan Atom, 2001, Fig, 2005, and Chapbook's Cropper in 2008, as well as Pleasure in 2008. She has worked with many museums, also in the art world, so there are many bridges between poetry and art, in Antwerp, in London, in LA, and in New York. A very, very warm welcome to Caroline Bergvall.
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm going to be reading from, the first piece I'm reading is from the collection Fig, which is a collection of performance pieces primarily so that the textual material ends up being sort of not transcribed but reorganized for the book publication. But they were primarily performances or audio pieces or internet pieces, and there was also one installation. This is about face. Begin at acing at emotion. How close is near ace a face? What makes face how close to near tenderness pass? Just close enough makes faceless. Too close makes underface. Ceci n'est pas une face, c'est un espace, un face. Sit here nearly your passing face. This is not a face. Face is like a rose. You have to be correlated to, yeah, waltzing down, change. When face, a point is found in many others, everything in your face, not full page, that is not read yet, portrays time taken, where found, it's brought out, your point tracks the fight of lines, phased in. This fakes mark distance, crossing knees, a strategy, good fortune, accidents, crossing that knees does beckon, quite unlike each sticking point, brings separate focus to this and to that. Dotted my think when yes, it's got a very strong eyebrow at the end of very interesting head. At which to face begins a total part of what cannot be backtracks, point to impact at the incline, neckline, beyond the implicated body limit. Orientalize, give it back to the same when face corporal signals a bulk, corpus, a conglomeration of means in relation to what face might be at arm's length. Found as of time, the way it was processed, was that a lasting relation to large face markets exacerbate the need? First a marker, then a collection, face medallion, fly on the coif, collect small figures, figurines. This is not a face is like a rose, a face is like a red rose-like, likely to appear, likely to disappear. Hours, face-like, envisage, brings on more. Like they would, you take your, basically in your hands, what do you feel? Actually, it takes not like, take my face in my hands, I feel warmed. I mean, plotting a face is pulled off from back in language proudly. Ceci n'est pas une bride. A face is not a horse, yet horse-like. Fits describe this fact as a natural extension of the grid. One face is pulled off by eating much fig, choking on face fig. Error, think about eyes. Another would have it the figure prepares to face load. A face like a red rose, parting like a raise like. This is not. Why? No, 20, unlikely meet. A face encountered at first sight is not adored. Adored, a face must exacerbate motifs of recognition. A face encountered is not adored at first sight, yet syncopates, provokes face slow turnabout. Face adored is a pulse shudder. Face, adored, adored, shudder, syncopate, faceless, faceless. Yet when adored, delight at this profound absenting, and when unadored makes faceless horror at the absent and don't want, don't know. Another would have it here in a way foreseeable at surface, and the others are diff. This is a, layers, no, point, surface. Still portrays degrees of face, act to degrees of nearness, removes degrees of face, act to degrees of resistance. When face, the point of nearness strikes a precarious balance of stillness, then arousal, but it's that to be that do not dawn and vocab paints out. I mean, sprite, if had that comment out, spoke bigs very bien, have you to look at it, face, that's it, where you show your face bright in your grows a grid or plant-like type, revered and a sound like unlike made likely. And the likeness of flies, unlike made likely, unlikely kept, unlikely. You can watch from afar 8 o'clock man's portrait looks. Amanda was well. There was no see their faces and objects in of record immediately. Not small technology speed up splitter shrapnel immediate not conversation retrieve relative. So soon take part A of can hear the conversation between all different projections. Taking turns with violence, a face is first removed, then applied. React face, what you think of taking turns with violence, a face is first removed, and all faces standing in tissue of definitely, but big as it defacement pronounces the temporary triumph of mass. If think of thee, non, anon, aggrave, excess of face made superstitious. Soon a face replaced another yet forgot what I shoot haunting. Face makes in the draw thing in construct and face will split. Face keeps. Who'd a night kept faceless, who denied burdened with face. Look at the them, the not, the non-not, the more not, the not mostly, not local, the not less local than local, more less, then there's more tearing, then another hanging. Look at them, not. Story nearly, isn't it? Medusa had no face, her mirrored every face is a face lost, brought out the shock of France. Another nar, nobody used that representation, and none. Face wash. Face drip, face gliss, just period, face grip, and for that it was face position, big face, fuck face, it's true, and that is the two-face. This means the up, face down, deep end, down on face, staying like that, face tap, otherwise it's face, distance. This is not a fact, it's not a bride, motion sparks, nameless noise on a surface, and the other is a diff. Or taking U-turns with shame, walking up to having stood, mind bass from what walks up to profound visage and strips. It's actually, yes, phased and nearly way not neutral. Admitted there was no face remembered, yet a face it will be forgotten, moves and terrifies like photographs and bundles of clothes, not paint, no portraiture, yet Francis Bacon pulls at face enlarges, now taking on loss, hits on duration. Taking on less for more, loosens padding, bride like composite, is a red rump of the thin moustache, like a curtain pulled to face it, like a parting like spectacle. I face it grid. I face it with one eye, I face it with another. I fuck it eyeless, purple blocks of matter makes poses, and like an iron ething out with the sense that rubbing out takes care of genetics. You know, say by era, thinking from the ear, not listening the way of the surely caught in grooves, sparse by sets, earful, face wipe, double back, face it, rerun, grid, generic and non-generic aspect, face it up, to speak, repeat, a phase, a phase, yeah, some such profound dilemmas, and walk up to I'm now going to read the final section of this piece, Cropper, in which I trace up some, among other things, some of my various linguistic upbringings. There's a final section called Crop. Sorry. It was okay for the other piece, but for this one... How does one keep one's body as one's own? What does this mean but the relative safety of boundaries? Could I make sure that what I called my body would remain in the transit from other languages? That we would hold its progression into English? And because I didn't know and wasn't sure, and since for a great number of people, for an overwhelming number of persons, for an overwhelmingly large number of persons, for an always growing number of persons, this is far from self-evident. This is not self-evident. This does not apply, doesn't even begin to figure. I never knew for sure. Some never had a body to call their own before it was taken away. Som aldri hadde en kropp de kunne kalle sin egen, for det ble revet bort. Some never had a chance to feel a body as their own before it was taken away. Som aldri fikk kloppe en kropp som sin egen, for den ble revet bort. Some never had a chance to know their body before it was taken away. Som aldri fikk kjenne sin kropp, for den ble revet bort. Some were never free to speak their body before it was taken up and taken away. Som aldri var fri til å si sin kropp, for den ble løftet opp og revet bort. Some tried their body on to pleasure in it before it was taken up, beaten, violated, taken away. Som tok sin kropp på for å nyte den, for den ble løftet opp, slått, krenket, revet bort. Some had their body for a time, then it too was taken away, og parts of it som hadde sin kropp I en tid, så ble den også revet bort, eller deler av den. Some thought they had their bodies safely, then were asked to leave it behind the door, og parts of it som trodde at de trygt hadde sin kropp, bare for å bli bedt om å la den bli igjen bak døren eller deler av den. Some hoped they had one safely, only to find it had to be left across the border, og parts of it som håpet de trygt hadde en, bare for å innse at den måtte bli igjen over grensen eller deler av den. Some wanted to leave their body behind and couldn't. Some ønsket å legge sin kropp bak seg og kunne ikke. Some could neither take it with them nor leave it behind. Some kunne hverken ta den med seg eller legge den igjen. Some are laughed at, some spat out, some are dragged into the crowd, som blir ledd av, blir spyttet ut, som blir trukket inn I mengden. Some bodies are forgotten in the language compounds. Some immense pressures applied onto the forgetting of the ecosystem some escape from. Some bodies, like languages, simply disappear. Noen kropper, liksom språk, blir simpelthen borte. Some or many are being disappeared. Noen eller mange blitt borte. Some or many disappear. Noen eller mange blir borte. Some or many that disappeared arise in some or many of us. Noen eller mange som ble borte reiser seg noen eller mange av oss. Some arise in some or many of us. Noen reiser seg I noen eller mange av oss. Some that arise in some of us, arise in many of us. Noen som reiser seg I noen av oss, reiser seg I mange av oss. Some that arise in some of us, arrive in each of us. Noen som reiser seg I noen av oss, kommer frem I hver av oss. Thank you very much.